如果每個人心裏面都有間小屋，以前佢嘅小屋外表華麗，鋪滿圍欄，但內裏卻殘破不堪。當稍一觸碰，仲會倒塌成灰。呢間就係佢嘅小屋。
The shack then represents the place that I began to store all my secrets and hide all my addictions and never invite anybody in there because I hated it.
過去內心傷痕累累，卻寫出翻譯成50種語言，銷量超過2000萬冊，治療無數人心靈嘅小屋，只因為佢經歷咗一趟奇妙之旅。
God, where were you when I was a child? Where did I belong?
So I was born in Grande Prairie, Alberta, which is northern Canada. And when I was around a year old, my mother and my father and I, since I was the firstborn, we moved across the world to the highlands of New Guinea. The tribe was about 40 to 60,000 people over 100 square miles. And they had never seen a white person before.
新幾內亞位於澳大利亞北面，係世界上第2大島嶼。威廉楊格同父母就住喺其中一個最大嘅原始部落 Donny。
They were warring people, spirit worshipping people, and they practiced ritualistic cannibalism. So not exactly the safest place to raise a child, but that was my world. And there's some wonderful things about growing up that way. There's all the adventures of being taught how to fish and hunt and all of this as a child.
父母忙於宣教，威廉楊格被族人照顧，佢一直視自己為部落嘅一份子。
My mother was a medical missionary. My father's trying to learn the language and try to preach the language. And when I was very young, I was around the conversations that the Donny were having about whether they were deciding to kill my parents or not. And I didn't feel in any danger because I didn't think that I was a white person. I thought I was a Donny because they raised me.
天真嘅小孩唔會分辨膚色、語言，只會對一齊成長嘅大人無條件咁信任。但越信任，被背叛、傷害就會越痛。
Before I was 5 years old, the tribal culture, which was a very sexualized culture, and sexual abuse began in the tribal culture, which I considered to be my family, before I was 5 years old. And it wasn't a little bit, it was a lot. By the time I was 6, I was already being twisted, and things were confused for me. But at 6, then I'm sent away to boarding school. And at night, some of the older boys would come and they would molest the young boys. And sexual abuse is an absolutely dismantling, destructive force in the soul of a human being. And then all of a sudden, you feel worthless and your life is full of shame and you don't want to say anything and you're in an environment that is dangerous.
自卑、不安、困惑，童年嘅威廉楊格冇將自己受到嘅傷害同爸爸媽媽講，內心嘅小屋只有佢一個。
I no longer belong inside my culture, and I don't feel like I belong in the white world. I was in New Guinea from about a year old to almost 10, and then we came back to Canada, middle of winter. It's so very different from the tropics to the winter of Canada. I went to 13 different schools before I graduate high school. You know, you learn to adjust and you learn to adapt, but you don't learn to belong. I never felt that I belonged.
Dear God, look, I am doing my best to serve you. Today I failed. Maybe tomorrow.
Before I went through all this 11 years of dismantling and rebuilding, people would have said, he's very smart. I didn't think I was very smart because shame says you just fool people. So I kept my inside world hidden for a lot longer than others have been able to.
羞恥深深籠罩住威廉楊格嘅心，佢習慣咗疏離嘅關係，每次嘅相識都係等待下一刻嘅分離。佢學識用好嘅表現迎合別人嘅期望，內心深處卻一直埋藏住另一根刺。
In my first early part of my life, my father was a very angry young man, and he was a very, very harsh disciplinarian. But as a child, I just thought something was wrong with me. And that's why he was so angry and unpredictable. Now that I know his life better, I know that he did not come with a capacity to be a father. His father had already broken that in him before I showed up, and then his father before him, because I know our family history now.
爸爸嘅憤怒同變幻莫測，亦令佢對上帝嘅認識有所偏差。
When you do not live up to the expectations of your own father, it's a simple step to believe that God has expectations and you are not living up to those either. And so you're trying to do the right things, you don't do the wrong things, and you're trying to serve God, you're trying to do all this, but it's not about trust.
喺傳統嘅基督教文化中逐漸成長，威廉楊格選擇去讀神學，活出基督徒該有嘅模樣。但一切都只係粉飾咗嘅圍牆，內裏只有滿滿嘅傷痕。
So what I did metaphorically is that I took some of the wood from my shack and I dragged it out 100 yards and I create a facade. You know, it's like in the movies, it looks like a building, but there's really no building. It's just this thin, right? And I create this facade that I can paint as fast as I can pick up people's expectations. To use language that appears to be kind but has knives in them, right? To win an argument and make someone feel foolish.
佢從來冇同任何人講過自己心裏面嘅黑暗，好驚其他人知道後嘅反應。即使關係緊密如太太，都唔知道佢嘅過去，自然容易觸碰到佢感到羞恥嘅傷口。
We're married, Kim would say things like, "Don't mix the colors with the whites." She's talking about doing laundry, right? And she's saying, there is a right way to do this and you don't do it right. Well, I heard her say, I don't know why I married such a loser of a human being as you. Right? She's making an observation. I hear a value statement. Why? Because thin layer of perfectionist performance, I failed. And bam, up comes the shame. And when shame comes up, you either want to run or you want to fight. And my way of fighting was to make the other person feel bad, by words. And running was to just disappear inside, where I could feel nothing.
但羞恥對人心嘅影響並唔可能隱藏消失。威廉楊格選擇將心靈小屋微弱嘅燈關上，令自己活喺更深嘅黑暗之中。
For many years, I struggled with the issue of pornography. That was one of my addictions.
It's the imagination of a relationship without the risk of a real one. It is highly objectifying, destructive to women, destructive to human beings as objects. And yet, when you are caught by that addiction, it has a profound ownership of your life. But I don't want to deal with the addictions. I don't know how. I think, okay, well, I'll start over again. I'll start over again. I'll start over again. And you just go through these cycles of taking, self-discipline and trying to get to wholeness through self-discipline. It just doesn't work. What works is a revelation of Jesus in us.
威廉楊格一直努力去掩飾自己心靈嘅破碎。佢認為，如果佢唔做好，上帝就會好似對耶穌一樣撇棄佢，對佢發怒。
God does not like the facade. God does not love the facade. God loves the shack. Right? That was a revelation to me. Because I'm thinking if I can do it perfectly, God would love the facade. That maybe that would become the real boy. God loves the shack with all of its brokenness.
連自己都唔願意面對嘅內心，到底可以點樣重新變成完整嘅小屋呢？每個人內心都有一個空間，我哋會將唔願意去觸碰嘅痛苦同情緒放入呢間房，收埋喺最暗嘅角落。威廉楊格將佢成長經歷嘅創傷、對上帝嘅不忿，都一一放入呢間小屋裏面。佢以為呢啲傷痛冇人知道，但其實喺小屋裏面一直都唔係得佢一個。
Papa God, I need to know you love me simply because I exist. Do you? I need to know you are with me. Are you?
The beauty of the devastating exposure of my life is that all the facade came crashing down. I had nowhere to pretend anymore. This is the way it is. Now what do? I either face the shame and deal with it, or I kill myself.
威廉楊格婚後14年，被太太發現佢有3個月嘅婚外情，佢要面對自殺或者坦誠兩個選擇。
And when we get caught or when we get exposed, we have an opportunity to allow others in. And that's what I did. But I did it out of desperation. I didn't do it because it felt like a good idea. And it was either find a way to change or die.
威廉楊格選擇坦誠，第一次向太太坦白自己過去所有嘅秘密，並開始接受輔導。
So the biggest journey of my healing took 11 years, basically dismantling everything that I thought I knew about God, what my history was growing up in the church, everything that I thought about what it meant to be a human being, what it meant to have God involved in my life, and tearing all of that down and saying, what is real? Going back to my history, looking at it, looking at the abuse, saying, how did that affect me? Where are all the roots to the kinds of damage that's in my life, and then rebuilding.
經歷漫長嘅醫治過程，太太雖然並冇同佢離婚，但佢所造成嘅傷害仍然需要艱難咁面對。
Walking that out is very hard, especially when you have hurt people so deeply that you have to face their fury. And their fury is justified. When you hurt people, you hurt people. And it's not something you can just turn your face away and pretend it didn't happen. And one of my daughters, her response was so hurt because she had always believed that I had been a consistent human being. And now she finds out that her imagination of her father is not justified, that there is something broken here.
女兒之後離家出走，搬到自己哥哥嘅屋企。喺家庭會議裏面，威廉楊格接受屋企人代替女兒嘅疑問，一一坦誠回答，同時痛苦得不停流淚。
The whole day was like that. We get back to our home, and our daughter is still not with us, and I'm exhausted. And I come out, and I'm looking down the street, and there is a rainbow that goes from one side of the street to the other side of the street. I have never seen anything like this in my whole life. And rainbows have always been a symbol for God's grace. And I have to just trust that God is in the middle of this. That yes, He can climb into my choices that hurt someone that I love so deeply. And He can build something in the middle. 2 weeks later, my daughter, who is angry, comes into the house, and I'm sitting on a chair, and she climbs in and climbs onto my lap and puts her arms around me, and she says, I understand. I understand. And it has taken us some time, to continue to walk our way through that. It changed our relationship. It deepened it, actually. There are still consequences. There are still people who I hurt that I am not reconciled to. It's part of being human. It's part of owning what you've done. And unless you own what you've done, the damage that you've done cannot be reconciled, not in the heart of other people. They may have to journey in their own relationship with God to come to some kind of closure. But if you don't face what you've done, your healing will not happen.
而喺威廉楊格心中，昔日總係發怒、對兒女有至高標準嘅上帝，亦都漸漸不再一樣。
I had to deal with some of the lies that were in my theology. That there was a difference between the character of Jesus and the character of God the Father. That God the Father would pour out His wrath on His Son. There were issues in my theology that how do you run to a God who is so abusive to His own Son? So there are some problems. How do you trust someone who is not good all the time? And yet Jesus is saying there's only one who's good. That's God, right? And all goodness originates from God. We believe in a God who values our ability to say yes or no. And that creates a huge amount of trouble. And God so loves us that our existing was better than not creating, even if we bring all this devastation. I can ask God, not why did you cause this, but why did you allow it? And frankly, sometimes there is no answer to that. A better question is where, not why. Where are you in the middle of this? Where are you? Open my eyes so I can see you in the middle of my loss. And to find out that no, He has never abandoned anyone. He never abandoned Jesus. He never abandons me. He's always been with me. I've never been alone. Those are fundamental places that you can begin to stand and then embrace ideas and realities about the goodness of God. And that allows you to begin to trust which is the biggest journey that I've ever taken, is learning how to trust.
走過彼此傷害、被饒恕、原諒嘅路，威廉楊格發現，原來天父一直都喺嗰間破碎嘅心靈小屋入面，等待佢接受完全嘅愛。
Papa, I suppose you make beauty from ashes because ashes are the only thing that makes it through the fire. Thank you.
走過重重傷害，人生仍然難免遇到狂風暴雨。2004年，威廉楊格生意失敗，申請破產。
And we lost our house, we lost our cars, we lost pretty much all our material possessions. But we found out that the opposite of more is enough. I have family, I have friends, I had food on the table. I was working 3 jobs. And I think finances sometimes cover up our fears. But the fear of financial insecurity reveals our need to control. And God wants to heal us of the issue of control as well. And that was a big turning point. And it was at the end of 2004 that I finally felt I am healthy enough now, finally, to write a story for my children that puts in one place how I think. And that's where The Shack was written. The shack represents the broken soul on the inside.
雖然生活比從前貧乏，但內心嘅小屋今次就足夠堅固去承受。威廉楊格寫成小屋呢份本來只係打算送俾仔女嘅聖誕禮物，2007年喺朋友推動下出版成小說。
And it's the chapter where there's reconciliation between the Father and the Son. And I didn't write it because it had happened. I wrote it as a hope. And my relationship with my father is still moving. I don't have any expectations about him suddenly becoming a father. And as I released him from those expectations, a couple things happened. One is I no longer had to look for a father figure to compensate, because that got me into some trouble. That is, I trusted in situations where I should not have. But it also frees me to relate to him as a human being, not as the father who hurt me. That he is someone who is made in the image of God, and I can relate to him authentically that way. And that has impacted our relationship significantly.
雖然佢同爸爸嘅關係並未完全復和，但佢願意接受爸爸嘅唔完美。佢相信三位一體嘅上帝，亦係一位重視關係嘅上帝。
We believe in one God, but that one God is 3 persons in face-to-face relationship. And I wanted it in the book because that has been significant for me about love and relationship. Then when I write the book, I'm not trying to define God. All I did was drew a portrait of the way that they love one another, and the lights went on for people. And it was one of those surprises that happened along the way.
即使成為暢銷作家，2017年小說被改編成電影之後，全球票房超過9000萬美元。威廉楊格一直視自己作品嘅成功如浮雲，因為佢清楚自己嘅價值並唔係嚟自成功。
The world looks at what I have done and says, "You are now successful." I tell the world, I was successful before I wrote the book. I had journeyed to the place where I was comfortable inside my own skin. My relationship with Kim was restored. My relationship with my children, my grandchildren, their spouses, my friends. I am surrounded by enough.
接受醫治嘅旅程總係漫長。每當傷痛再次走入內心嘅時候，我哋可以點樣做呢？
Ask help, Allow your secrets to come to the surface. Simplify your life. Live in only the grace of today. Because when you're hurting, tomorrow is too much. It's about today. And God will grant you the grace for today.
面對自己被破碎嘅心之外，又可以點樣面對被我哋傷害嘅人呢？
Ask for forgiveness, right? When you've hurt people. Don't just apologize. Ask for forgiveness. And begin to take whatever steps are in front of you to do the work. And it is work. But God will not heal you apart from your participation. You need to join God in this journey of even the healing of your own soul.